It was the very first game I ever bought.
Noir, sci-fi, future, dystopia, and humor.
You know, he's not a soldier, he's not, you know, enhanced in any way, he's just this guy.
You explored these 3D locations, hunting everywhere for clues, looking under desks, opening, you know, every drawer in sight.
The last 10 seconds is like, to be continued. I was like, okay, so what's the next one coming out?
I started getting on the forums, and everyone, there's this excitement generating, and then on the Kickstarter there was this big excitement.
And I went to sleep thinking, well, you know, I've got a long way to go. And only a few hours later I woke up and I was like, oh my goodness.
We knew we had some passionate fans, but when they started really coming out of the woodwork,
they became so integral. And by the end of 3 weeks, that were seasoned crew people.
We asked for Tex Murphy testimonials for people to send in, and obviously that's when we first kind of saw Matt Van Roon's testimonial, and it was like, oh my gosh, look how talented these people are.
Because of the intensity and because, you know, they were willing to, in many cases, volunteer their services for a while, it just made a difference in getting it off the ground and allowing us to go, hey, I think we can do this bigger.
He came running home from his friend's place and said, there's this game that has real actors in it and the environments you could walk around in complete freedom of movement. And at the time I didn't even have a PC, so I had no idea what level a game could be at.
There was this thing called Mean Streets, and obviously because of the film and the similar name, I was like, oh, what's this? And obviously the box art was really cool.
I saw this interactive Tex Murphy thing. I thought, oh, that looks pretty cool. So I got it because it was FMV. It just seemed like something totally different.
Well, there was no other game like it at the time, so I played the hell out of that game.
I found this box for a game called the Pandora Directive. And it grabbed my eye because it had an orange title on a blue background, which was eye-popping. And not eye-popping, but, you know, eye-catching.
So my brother's best friend came over and they hooked it up, set it up. I think they even added on the extra RAM and stuff to make it like the way it's supposed to be played. And they sit down and they, for the life of them, they could not figure out how to play the thing. And I was like, what are you guys doing? That's really cool.
It was love at first sound. I went into a computer store back in the day and they had Under a Killing Moon playing on the demo computer, and I just thought it was so much fun. I spent a good 10 minutes just wandering around Tex's office, clicking on everything, opening his drawers, and I just was so impressed at the level of detail.
The first time that I played Tex Murphy was actually Mean Streets with my grandfather, because my grandfather played it and he went, oh, this is a great game, and I used to play it with him. But I never really associated that with Tex Murphy until much, much later.
Well, it was sometime around early 1995, and we had just gotten our very first modern home computer, an IBM Aptiva. And
I actually found the Pandora Directive book before I found the game, and I was just looking for actually a new new Indiana Jones adventure book, and I saw this Tex silhouette, and I was like, hey, that looks kind of cool.
Under a Killing Moon, and blown away from the initial opening segment to the first scene with the gun out the window. Like, forget about the best.
It was literally the very first computer game I ever played, and let me tell you, it set the bar high.
As soon as I watched the intro to that game, I was hooked.
It ended up being like 2 or 3 weeks, in the middle of the summer, by the way, of these 3 guys sitting indoors in the basement playing through this game. And it was just the most incredible experience.
I had no idea what to expect from it, but it sort of blew away all my expectations at the same time, so it's definitely a good start.
Yeah.
My biggest memory of Tex was his voice. It was just so soothing and like just gravelly.
Science fiction and noir, as well as just being great fun. The humor is fantastic.
I'm always looking for a reason to laugh, And I certainly got plenty of reasons out of Under a Killing Moon to laugh.
You got absorbed into this story and you pretty much took Tex's hand, as a manner of speaking, and guided him through to these fantastic outcomes, and you felt like you were at the dead center of that experience.
His charm was just enticing, and all the characters. I mean, there was Tex, but there was also Rook and Chelsea and Louie, and so it was like a place I knew. It's like my Cheers.
I've always liked sort of Art Deco film noir to some extent, so I really like that element of it. So I really like the whole sort of, the iconic picture of Tex with the slats and so on. It looks really, really good, and it's that style.
It's combining some of my favorite genres, so noir, sci-fi, future, dystopia, and humor.
I think it's just the in-depth story, because I remember the beginning of Under a Killing Moon. It all starts with Tex gets some mail. He needs to mail it in to get a credit card, and it seems like such a simple task, and then that just snowballs into going to a space station at the end.
Just the whole thing just drew you in, and it's always been the writing. And I think it's kind of paraphrased by the years later when Big Finish exists. It's a good story, well told.
You spend your times on Chandler Avenue in the alley behind Rooks, walking around getting to know these characters, and it just became this part of your life where you almost remember back as if it's a memory, a nostalgic era from your life. So I feel like it just really stuck with me.
In this post-apocalyptic world, World War III has happened, there's mutants, there's normal people, and just this guy that's just down on his luck. Cigarette smoker, bourbon drinker, thrill seeker, punching bag. I mean, what's not to like about this guy?
He's not a, he's not a soldier. He's not, enhanced in any way. He's just this guy, and he's just trying to make ends meet, and he's just trying to get through the day, and he just gets into these situations that are kind of completely out of his, frame of reference.
The game also had a lot of logic puzzles, which I'm just a huge fan of logic puzzles. I really enjoy trying to figure those things out. More so than inventory puzzles, but inventory puzzles are okay too. And Tex has both.
But what really made me fall in love with Tex was just his wonderful sense of humor and his sarcastic tone sometimes, of how he just had a snarky thing to say about everything from the chairs to elbow macaroni. It was all golden stuff.
Overseer ends on a cliffhanger, and then Microsoft buys access and then sits on the Tex Murphy games because they are idiots.
I was so excited, and I was wondering how it was going to wrap up, and then suddenly, boom, boom, end credits, tears.
I was furious when it said to be continued. Like that, the last 10 seconds is like, to be continued. I was like, okay, so when's the next one coming out?
That was a pretty sad time, because the first few years I figured it was just a temporary delay and everything would be fine.
That was the most depressing part. Not so much, we always kept the faith. As a fan base, we worked really hard to make sure that we would always be there for them should they want to resurrect the series. But what was the most depressing part was watching the industry forget about the Tex Murphy series.
Yeah, I kind of checked out for a while. There wasn't really much going on. So I think LucasArts still was making some games. They were still having some fun with one or two more Monkey Islands left. And then, Sierra, I think, was gone by then. And it was just a very depressing time, actually.
Firstly, a little bit disappointed when I first saw Overseer in England, because the very first time I saw it, it was effectively in the reduced section in the game store. And I was like, oh my goodness.
I never forgot about the game. And then it came out on GOG, and I was like, oh my god, I can play it again. How exciting! So that's pretty much what I did. And I cried a lot.
And James brought us the amazing boards, and it just blew up from there. So that's how the Tex community existed, and we kept the faith, as we like to say.
And so there was like a GeoCities page that I put together. It was like, here's my Tex Murphy fan page that has, I like Tex Murphy. It's just had like, a brief little paragraph about it kind of thing. But that kind of got me started with being interested in web design and how to build sites and things like that.
You would think they'd make another game, but the years dragged on and nothing came out. And a couple of years later, I met a great bunch of people and we all bonded together and we sort of shared the weight.
I was on the unofficial Tex Murphy board for a long time, and when the radio theater came out, that was just, I just felt the love. So I kind of made that my home, my cyber home.
It's like, forum, I'm a big forum fan, let's just go through and see what's going on here. And I was reading through it and I saw that actually Adrian and Aaron had been posting on it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. They seem to have some, new updates. I'm gonna, join the forum.
We kept reading posts on the unofficial Tex Murphy site, and people kept asking what they had theories about what's going to happen and where is the next story going. So we listened. We were silent observers, and we heard the pain that the fans were in.
We just always thought something would happen eventually. We knew we had a really strong fan base, and we felt like despite the bad rap that FMV got toward the end of that whole period in the mid-90s, that we had proven that we could do it pretty well, and that we would be able to survive that. But we were like the survivors that got off the Titanic but not far enough away from the Titanic. And so it just sucked us all down.
We did try on a number of occasions to bring the series back, first through Microsoft, then through Microsoft Casual Games. Both of them worked their way up the ladder a little bit and then just disappeared. We went to several publishers, same type of thing, no real interest in adventure games at a certain point. So really at one point we decided, okay, well maybe we'll try this again, maybe it's a casual game, just some way of getting it out so we can tell everybody, Tex is not dead, he didn't die at the end of Overseer, he's still alive, he's still out there. But even that was, once we really started trying to lay it out, we went, I don't think anybody's going to be satisfied with this.
I did an episode on the Tex Murphy series. I did reach out to Big Finish Games and tell them that I was doing this, and they offered to have Chris Jones read some lines for the video. And of course, I said, yes.
Look for me on bigfinishgames.com. I'll be there, and sooner than you think.
I kind of always held the hope that it would come back, and then when Tim Schafer did the Kickstarter, I'm like, we have to make this so.
People emailed us in, the backers, and they said, hey, did you hear about Double Fine? And so obviously Double Fine was kind of the first super successful game Kickstarter, and then I went to my dad saying, hey, we had people kind of email us in about Kickstarter, and it was like, well, what's Kickstarter? And wow, $3 million. That was a lot of money Double Fine made him.
Chris is the money guy, he's always been the budget guy. And he was all excited about Kickstarter. He was like, maybe this is the chance, for us to do it, because we do have a good following.
If we could get a base amount of money, and then the money that we were thinking of using for the Tex Murphy casual game, it might be enough to do a basic Tex Murphy game that we thought people would be happy with. So really the announcement was like almost Nirvana, this could be the way that we can make this happen.
Having done a Kickstarter campaign before, I knew what task was at hand. Chris didn't. And I said, this is a campaign, man. You're going to have to work for 30 days straight.
We want to shoot a really impressive video, because most of the Kickstarter videos up until that time, they were good, and it was, them telling their ideas, and we're like, well, how can we stand out? So we thought, well, we need to use the green screen so people can kind of get the idea of what's going on. So Aaron wrote the script, and Adrian obviously came in to film it, and we did that, and that was a bunch of fun.
My love for that series, I didn't really know how much I loved it until that Kickstarter was happening. And it was just every day. It was probably one of the most exciting times in my life, actually, that whole process. And I think it paid off.
I made little mini posters, which I then posted all around my hometown.
Well, I'd been on the forum for a long time, and there was a lot of inactive members. So the first thing I did is everyone I could remember throughout the entire, I don't know, however long I've been on the board, if I remembered them, I sent them a message.
I think the first couple of days, the initial response was pretty much off the charts. I didn't expect that it would happen, that quickly. The amount of money, I think the first day we had over $200,000.
We just saw the target go up and up, and we just thought, we've got to keep this going. And so I think everybody was sharing on Facebook, and everyone was connecting and making new friends on Facebook in a way that we weren't doing beforehand.
As soon as I found out about the Kickstarter, I immediately pledged, and I didn't pledge enough, and so I upgraded my pledge.
My goal was spreading awareness, and then every cent I had in my pocket.
Big Finish put out a call for testimonial videos, and so I knew right away that I had to put something together for that.
I took out Facebook ads, I took out Google ads, I was just getting with all the people on the forums and getting to know them really well.
It was Jen, who's everyone's mother figure in the Tex Murphy community, who actually, got on the blog and said, hey, are you going to do anything? Because, that would be really cool. And I was just like, oh, I wasn't thinking about it. She says, no, I'm not letting you do that. You're going to have to do something. And that's how we came up with the idea for the new San Francisco Voice News episodes.
He says, so we're going to do these new San Francisco voice videos. Could you build the Moonchild and have it explode in space? And I'm just like, oh, let me think on that. And then I think I just took a really hot shower, and I was just like, Moonchild, is this even possible? I haven't done 3D since college. And I was just like, I gotta do it. I just have to do it.
It was super successful. Our jaws were on the floor the next day to see how many people had actually paid attention to us.
And it really went beyond all our expectations, When we were first talking about the scope of the game that we would do, it was not nearly what it's turned out to be.
And one of the reasons why it was successful is Matt Van Roon, with his little news broadcasts. He sent them to me, and I said, oh my God, this is incredible.
We were really, really pleased and humbled by that reaction, and it really led to this overwhelming desire to deliver something for the fans, and that was really what it was about. It was not about us, and it wasn't about us saying we're amazing and we should have had this opportunity 15 years ago. It was, thank you, fans.
The fans were coming in just to hang out and watch the shooting and meet Chris and a few of the actors. About a day into the shoot, we realized that our crew couldn't handle the hours, and Mac or Kathy or Jen saying, oh, I can help doing that. Oh, I don't mind.
Everybody that was there jumped in. It was it was very long days, and we all did things right. We wrangled cord, we adjusted lights, we, moved things back and forth. We were just, they put us to work.
Everything from grip to lighting to boom. I also had a role, my partner in crime, James Lamosi. We're the partners, not in crime, but I guess in law, as the detectives in the game.
Let's just say I was supposed to be afraid in that scene, and I have this really weird thing where I have to smile all the time. So basically Adrian, came up and he whispered something in my ear for me to scream out, which I won't say, but it starts with F and ends with U.
Who knows how to put into contact? I'm like, okay. So Todd Bridges and I were in the bathroom together, and he was laying here, and I'm trying to put in that monster contact lens. And the first one in just fine, and the second one was kind of folded and flipped. So we're having a hard time. I'm putting in the contact lens of Todd Bridges, and please don't let this fold again one more time.
They became so integral, and by the end of 3 weeks, that was seasoned crew people. They knew through the DP, he was teaching them the technology and the terminology. We had people doing slates, and slate for this type of interactive game is not easy.
when people showed up, I think for a lot of them it was as fun as they'd hoped it would be, and they wanted to stay and they wanted to do whatever they could to help, you know. And I think if they'd come in and we were just a couple of assholes and said, yeah, thanks for your money, nice to meet you, want me to sign something? No, get out, you know. It would have been a very different experience. But we really liked meeting the fans.
In many ways, it's surprising because they know some of the intimate details better than I can remember them, you know. And so if we started heading down a certain path, or even like the street, I mean, going through and saying, you know, okay, this is pretty much the street, and they would say, no, it's almost the street, but you need a wooden fence along here, and remember up in this window there was something creepy that he saw.
It's honestly been amazing. When we asked for Tex Murphy testimonials for people to send in, and obviously that's when we first kind of saw Matt Van Roon's testimonial, and it was like, oh my gosh, look how talented these people are.
If I told myself when I was 9 years old where I am now, even though I was 9 years old, I'd go, bullshit.
You know, it just got to be so extensive. You know, you got 15 minutes, you know, it's all these 3D shots. You know, I basically had to build this 3D environment from scratch, you know, set up all the cameras, superimpose the actors on them, do special effects, do, you know, all this stuff. I mean, if you see the finale, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Matt and Bjorn, amazing. And, you know, with Matt, when he got into it, I knew how much work he was in for. Because he's like me in a lot of ways, in that he's kind of a perfectionist. He really wants to put the best quality product out. He's not going to go half-assed with it.
Matt is a Tex fan, but he's a filmmaker in his own right. I mean, I've seen his short films and I've seen his effects work, and when I saw the news broadcast, I knew. Then I just, in my gut,
walking around an office and casually interacting with Chris and, you know, Doug Vandergrift, Aaron Collins, Adrian Carr, all these people, you know, and colloquially and casually is just mind-blowing.
I think it's extremely enjoyable. It really warms my heart, and, you know, as a lot of people said, it's been kind of surreal.
Because of the intensity and because, you know, they were willing to, in many cases, volunteer their services for a while. It just made a difference in getting it off the ground and allowing us to go, hey, I think we can do this bigger.
Seeing Tex up on the big screen is the thing I'm looking forward to, because it's been something that, you know, has been a wish list item for so many years.
New haircut, shape, feel of a shoe. Besides that, just meeting everyone that I've gotten to know over the past however many years on the forums.
Seeing Tex on the big screen in high definition, I mean, I think that's going to be unique, and you're not going to be able to see that anywhere else.
But it's been really great to actually meet people for the premiere, and also, like everyone says, Tex on the big screen is going to be the one and only time it's going to be in a big screen in a cinema, and it's going to be one hell of a night.
It's the culmination of 2 years worth of work, in my opinion. I mean, I know for a lot of people it'll be a fantastic experience to watch, but, you know, there's a few people in this room who contributed a lot into the product, and it will be, for people like myself and people like Bjorn, culmination of a lot of hard work just resolved in a giant screen in front of our faces.
This tie is amazing. It's a Tex print.
Where am I? Is this a dream? The big PI in the sky?
That's right, Murphy. But now is not the time for you to be here. There is a vast and malignant evil at work on the earth, and fate, for some reason that even I cannot fathom, has chosen you to oppose it.
But why me?
I'm no more thrilled about it than you are. Nevertheless, your fate has been decided.
off the scale for a game, and for 5.5 hours of video for the game that goes along with it is about 25 hours when you play it all together. It's just, honestly, this could not be done unless it was done by people who were absolutely dedicated to what they were doing, absolutely loved what they were doing, and took it all to heart and made it as, you know, as good as it could possibly be.
This started out really as a love effort to pay back to the fans for 14 years of misery. And I'm sorry for shooting Tex.
We forgive you.
We would not have done this without you guys. We would not have done it. We would not have even tried to begin it. We felt so much obligation to you guys to really be able to give you what you were waiting for. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, because you'll get it.
In the next 3 days, this will be coming out, it will be on the market, and, you know, honestly, I think people are going to be absolutely blown away by it. So again, thanks a lot. It means a lot to us, the support you've given us, and we've all achieved something great. So thanks again.
I still did get to spend an amazing 3 days in Utah. Just hanging around the Big Finish offices, generally trying to avoid being a nuisance.
The soundtrack, the music, the visuals, the effects, it just, I was tearing up at the end, just seeing, it was amazing, so.
I was talking to Chris yesterday. He said, you know, Pandora, Under Killing Moon, as awesome as they were and as successful as they were, this is the game where he feels like he's fully realized his vision for what he wanted Tex Murphy to be.
Hopefully it's looking very bright. At least if I've had anything to say about it.
I think we're going to get another game, and it's going to be sooner than 16 years.
I think once this game comes out, with the production value and the time and the replayability and the price point, you know, last but not least, I think you're going to get a lot of people just saying, well, I really don't know what it is, I'm not really into this thing usually, but for this amount of money and this amount of gameplay, I'll be stupid not to try it out.
Once people see what has been achieved with such a small budget, such a small crew, compared to the other projects that have been out there, they're just going to be blown away.
Adventure games are making a huge comeback right now, and Tesla Effect is only going to add fuel to that fire. I mean, the videos in the game are amazing. They are incredibly polished. The game looks to be incredibly funny, and the puzzles appear to be challenging, and it just all looks like it came together beautifully.
We want to see more Tex. We want to see more Tex Murphy games going forward. We want this to be as successful as it possibly can be.
I've honestly been so pleased with how it has turned out. And I go, we have such an advantage in a way of being so unique.
No, I've had in my mind for a very long time what the arc of Tex's story was going to be. And it's evolved, as things do over time. But there was always an end point to it. And I would love to get a chance to tell that one way or the other. If we're lucky, this game will be successful enough to justify doing a sequel.
This is an intellectual game, but fun at the same time. And if you love movies, then hopefully we've achieved that satirical note to sort of round out on.
The product that I had originally envisioned, this is so much better than what that, in my mind would have been. That to me personally, that is so satisfying. So yeah, I just feel all of these factors are serendipitous, but it's also because everyone's so dedicated and, as I said, put their blood on the page, that it made all the difference to allow it to be bigger, better, and stronger than anything that I had originally envisioned.
I wrote a full parody of Sexy and I Know It called Texy and I Know It, with full lyrics, and I sang it myself, and I asked the crew at the unofficial Tex Murphy boards if they'd be willing to dance for the video. And a surprising amount of people agreed and videotaped themselves dancing, and agreed to appear in the video. And I can't post actual audio from the video here, but please enjoy this few seconds of me and the gang dancing around in our fedoras.
The final bonus question. What do you think about you and me teaming up to rule the world? Because, I mean, honestly, super talented dudes named Aaron don't come around every day.
Aaron squared seems like a recipe for domination.
I would rather not compete against you. I would rather work with you, so...
It's so tricky, again. We can't cross the streams. I think as long as we don't cross the Aaron streams, we should be okay.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you could write me a role as a villain in the next piece.
Dude, you're born to play a villain. You just got the look.
Well, it doesn't help that I bought a suit that was all black, with the exception of the tie. But
I feel like if I don't answer your questions, you're going to put a hit out on me.
No. And on that note, what can I do for you to guarantee that I'll be cast as the villain in the next piece? Just a thought.
Well, I'm sure. I am sure that Dalton will have a successor. And since we're very similar, following the same code of ethics with hair, I'm sure it could happen.
I'll drink for that.
Cheers.